Hey everyone, welcome back to Jahanavi's School of Thought. Today, let's dive into British poetry of Sem1. In this, our first unit is Renaissance and Reformation. In this unit, we will study two important European time periods known as Renaissance and Reformation. During this period, many changes occurred in Europe, particularly in art, literature, and culture. It refers to a period in European civilization that was marked by a revival of classical learning and wisdom. Mainly, Renaissance period is nothing but a rebirth of arts, literature, and architecture. The Renaissance saw many contributions to different fields, including new scientific laws, it may be new forms of art and architecture, and new religious and political ideas too. Inspired by rebirth in culture, Europeans began to reform the Catholic Church and ultimately created one of the most diverse events in all of Europe, the Protestant Reformation. The term Renaissance, also known as Rinascimento in Italian, signifies a new birth or a rebirth. It's like whatever the literature or art or visual arts were followed previously in this period has been taken a rebirth, taken a new form. However, the intellectual and cultural components of this period, which is often referred to as a Renaissance period in English literature, have a number of social, economic, and political contexts that are crucial to the study of Shakespeare, Milton, Donne, and others. The Renaissance is generally thought to have begun in Italy in the 14th century and in Northern Europe in the 16th century. During the Renaissance, many of the roots of liberal humanism were laid, including the current universal outlook, respect for the dignity of all individuals, which democracy is based on, and a quest for knowledge and ways to improve the human condition. Mainly, this Renaissance you can consider like a rebirth of all the literature, whatever was considered, if you consider the sonnet has came after this in this Renaissance period, and use of blank verse and iambic pentameter. So what does this sonnet, blank verse, and iambic pentameter means? First, let us know what is an iamb. An iamb is a pair of syllables. So the first one will be unstressed, and the second one is stressed. It sounds like da, dum. For example, if you take the word because, you are not stressing the first syllable be. But when it comes to cause, you're stressing the second syllable, because. If you take one more example, above, release. So the first syllable will be unstressed and the second one is stressed. This is called iamb. I hope you got it. Now, what is an iambic pentameter? You know, penta is nothing but it denotes as 5, right? So iambic is a metrical foot with 2 syllables, unstressed followed by stressed. Pentameter, a 5-line metrical feet. So 5 iambs, that means total 10 syllables. Now let us go for blank verse. Blank verse is nothing but a poetry written in unrhymed iambic pentameter. That means there is no rhyme scheme, no rhyme. It has a regular meter but no rhyme, usually iambic pentameter. Common in dramatic and narrative poetry, Shakespeare used it extensively in his plays. You can find many of blank verse in Shakespeare plays. Lastly, what is meant by sonnet? A sonnet is a 14-line poem traditionally written in iambic pentameter with a specific rhyme scheme. It has a specific rhyme scheme and it is 14-line poem. If you take, it is divided into octave. Octave is nothing but 8 lines, and a sestet. Sestet is nothing but 6 lines. So this kind of a poem is called sonnet. So these are the key features of Renaissance poetry. The form and styles are sonnet, blank verse, and iambic pentameter. On the other hand, if you see about Reformation, Reformation is a religious movement and challenged the authority and practices of Roman Catholic Church. It gave rise to Protestantism, and John Calvin and Martin Luther drove the movement. It sparked by growing dissatisfaction with church corruption. There were many corruptions going on in Catholic Church. So against these, this Reformation rised, and the desire for direct access to scripture. The Renaissance developed in men the desire to question established ideas and altered their perspective on religion. The English Renaissance was heavily impacted by another significant spiritual and historical movement, that is Reformation, a 16th century movement that gave rise to Protestant churches. The Reformation was one of the Europeans' most profound transformation processes during the 16th century. The Renaissance instilled in men the desire to question conventional beliefs and changed their outlook on religion. This sparked an uprising on the continent against the corruption of the church. The main motto was this: the Pope's harsh criticism of the Church of Rome resulted in several reforms currents and the establishment of several Protestant church reforms. The main key figures were Martin Luther, John Calvin, and in England, Henry VIII, who initiated the English Reformation. Now, if you see in Christianity, we can see Catholics, and here comes the Protestantism. Reformation was the rise for Protestantism actually. So Catholic Church traces its roots to Jesus Christ, and especially Saint Peter considered the first pope. Catholic Church structure, if you say, it is very hierarchical, like pope, then comes the bishops, then comes the priest and deacons. Whereas Protestantism is, you can say, opposite, not quite opposite. There are few similarities. It emerged in the 16th century Reformation. It was led by the figures Martin Luther. Just now we have discussed it. The core beliefs of Protestantism is these people consider that the Bible alone is the ultimate authority, while Catholics have this thing called Pope, then comes the bishops. But in Protestantism, they thought that the Bible alone is the ultimate authority. No one else would get that authority. And salvation comes by faith alone, not by works. But quite opposite to this, Catholics believed by works. So Protestantism encouraged literacy, Bible translation, and individual spiritual inquiry. They focused more on individualism, whereas Catholics' focus was different and there were corruptions going on. So by looking at all this, people thought of Protestantism. The Reformation happened. If we consider what are the causes of Renaissance, the first one will be rediscovery of classical knowledge. There was a knowledge, but the translation of ancient Greek and Roman texts reintroduced in Europe to classical philosophy, science and art, inspiring a new intellectual awakening. Second cause is fall of Constantinople. When the Ottoman Empire captured this, many Greek scholars fled to Italy. So they flew to Italy, bringing precious manuscripts and ideas that fueled the Renaissance. So it was like a fuel to Renaissance. And the rise of humanism. Thinkers like Petrarch and Erasmus emphasized human dignity, reason, and individual potential, shifting focus from divine authority to human experience. One more important cause is invention of printing press. So this printing press revolutionized access to knowledge, allowing ideas to spread rapidly and empowering education and literacy. It's like there was literacy to every corner, and the knowledge access was very easy. Economic prosperity and patronage. So the wealthy merchant families like Medici in Florence funded these artists, architects, and scholars, turning cities into cultural hubs. So there was rise of these people. Urbanization and trade was one more cause. Growing cities and trade networks connected Europe to new ideas, goods, and cultures, especially through Mediterranean ports. So there was a lot of trading going on, and the rise of knowledge was easily accessible. And the decline of feudalism, if we want to say the lost cause, as feudal structures weakened, so what happened is people gained more freedom to explore. Previously there was not fully access of knowledge and freedom to just dive into the literature, but now because of the decline of feudalism, what happened, more freedom to explore art, science, and philosophy outside the rigid hierarchies. Previously there were hierarchies, but now there is freedom for everyone. Now let us know the causes of Reformation. The first one is church corruption. This is the main, you can say, a point. The Catholic Church was selling indulgences, payments for forgiveness of sins. So what these the hierarchies like popes, bishops, all these hierarchy thing people did is they were like corrupting the forgiveness, and many leaders lived in luxury while common people suffered. Second cause is Martin Luther's protest. So he was the main figure in this Reformation. In 1517, Luther wrote 95 theses criticizing church practices. So there were many unacceptable things were going on in the Catholic churches. He believed salvation came from faith alone, not money or ritual. It is, you can't really sell the forgiveness, right? And the rise of printing press, this is the same cause of Renaissance too. Invented around 1440, it helped spread new ideas quickly. Luther's writings reached thousands and sparking debate and change. So everyone started questioning, and everyone had the knowledge that the corruption was going on. People were, the payments for forgiveness of sins are going on, and the Catholic Church is totally corrupted. The next is the rise of humanism. People began thinking for themselves and questioning authority. Humanism encouraged personal connection to God and scripture. And fifth one is political power struggles. Kings and princes wanted freedom from church control. Supporting reformers helped them gain more independence. Even they wanted the freedom. And also desirable for Bible access. Reformers wanted the Bible in local languages, not just in Latin, because the Latin was not the language of everyone. This gave ordinary people the chance to read and understand it themselves. It's like this Reformation made people close to the Bible, people close to their religion. If you remember the major writers, it's very helpful. In the Renaissance period, the writers were Queen Elizabeth I herself was a poet and a patron of the arts, inspired a golden age of drama and poetry. Next comes William Shakespeare. You all are familiar with this, the most celebrated playwright. He explored love, power, and human nature. Next comes Christopher Marlowe, Ben Jonson, Sir Edmund Spenser, John Donne, Thomas Campion, John Milton. In the Reformation period, Martin Luther is the key figure. John Calvin, William Tyndale, Huldrych, Zwingli, John Knox, Thomas Cranmer, Philip Melanchthon. So this is the end of the lesson. Sorry. I forgot to tell you about the themes of Renaissance and Reformation. The main themes are rediscovery, rebirth, innovation, humanism, rationalism, secularism, resistance, spirituality, and individualism. If you elaborate these all themes, you can literally have the overall information about Renaissance and Reformation. Renaissance, one word to remember: rebirth. Reformation is nothing but freedom, individualism. Thank you, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. And please let me know if you want any changes in my way of explanation, or you want to know more about any other concept which you people want me to explain. Thank you.